This gambling scandal really sucks. There's a lot of reasons why I think that. But I think the biggest disappointment is that it just could have been avoided. The NBA sort of, and the NBA media class, frankly, kind of created this by going into bed with the gambling industry, right? The DraftKings and the whatever the other one called, the other big one is called, and ESPN and MGM and like all these other gambling companies that exist essentially that do all these terrible things, right? They make the temptation for NBA players or coaches like Chauncey Billups and people connected to the sport and to the league, you know, take these. And of course, look, people should have the responsibility not to do something like that, but it's really hard to do that. You're putting a highly addictive mechanism in front of people, gambling in and of itself, and you're combining that with the power of this of modern communication and technology and the internet and social media and this kind of addictive viral sort of sense. And then there's all this money attached to it, so that even people who have millions upon millions of dollars like Chauncey Billups are going to be tempted to do this thing. And that's just one side of it. That's not to mention the whole other side, which is the entire gambling industry runs on gambling addicts, essentially, sports gambling addicts, people who, are trying to pay their bills, or perhaps, put their final or their rent checks on games and stuff like that, because otherwise they can't afford it. And it's really dangerous, obviously, psychologically for those people, but it's also dangerous for the players who are in league, who are put into contact with people who are suddenly now capable of gambling on games, not just on their phones from their houses, but even in sports arenas in a lot of different situations. So the whole thing is just really fucked up, and this gambling gate, whatever you want to call it, is really just the beginning of what can be a whole slew of problems, across all kinds of different sports widely. And there have been little pockets and little bubbles of things that have popped up already in the NBA before this, but this is obviously the biggest one. And it's just really sad, man. Like, I don't want to watch basketball thinking that perhaps this game is being fixed, or that